want to welcome everyone to City Hall for the celebration of St. John the Baptist. We're celebrating Franco-American culture in the city of New Bedford. We're going to start with the raising of the American flag and the playing of the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll go to the raising of the national anthem. Thank you, Christine. And then we'll move to the Canadian flag and playing of O Canada. Councillor Bousquet, who would you like to represent the Americans and the Canadians in the raising of the flag?
The American's already raised.
Oh, it's already raised.
Yeah, we're just going to play the anthem.
Oh, we're going to play the anthem. All right.
Okay. Okay.
I heard that, but they didn't have a microphone. I want to thank City Assessor Peter Berthium and Councillor Bousquet, both of Franco-American descent, for raising the Canadian flag. We will turn the mic over to Councillor Bousquet, Councillor of Ward 3, a few words. Councillor Bousquet.
Thank you, Council President Lopes. I just want to say thank you for everybody for coming out and how proud I am. Just want you all to know that how proud I am to be a Canadian American from New Bedford. You know, there's a long legacy here of people working in textiles and in fishing, and my family was you know, very rooted in the textile industry here in New Bedford, working as stitchers and piece workers in the factories, and it makes me proud to know that they were part of building New Bedford. I'd like to turn the mic over to Peter Berthium, who will tell us a few things about what it means to be Canadian American to him.
Thank you, Henry. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
This is a great day to raise the Canadian flag in front of the City Hall in the beautiful city of New Bedford. I am honored to be here, recognizing Canadian American men and women, heroes for their dedication, and by assisting the United States in the American Civil War, supporting the Union forces. World War II, who stood strong on the U.S. beaches of Normandy, D-Day, June 6, 1944, and were our allies in the Korean War and the Gulf War. Being of 100% French Canadian ancestry, having spoken French as my first language, and have been educated at the St. Anthony School and Church, where the French nuns whipped me into shape the only way French nuns knew how. It is a great honor for me to be here for this celebration of French Canadian culture and pride. Today we recognize that the Canadian and United States fought wars together as allies for a common cause. Let us rekindle the bond between the Canadian government and the city of New Bedford by recognizing all those who died in the wars that I previously mentioned in the name of freedom and justice for all. Also, rekindling and recognizing, remembering, and actively participating in Canadian American recognition events such as this one. Ladies and gentlemen, before you leave today, please come inside the entrance of the City Hall and see the gift that was donated by the French government to the city of New Bedford. It is a plaque that recognizes local servicemen and women for their dedication in World War I. It is located right inside the hall here, right up on the wall. It's a beautiful plaque. This plaque was given to the city of New Bedford in 1927, stored away in an undisclosed area in the basement of the New Bedford Library, discovered in 2007 thanks to Joan Bonney, and was at that point rededicated to the city. So it is a great memorial recognizing the camaraderie between the Americans and the French. The census in the city at the time the plaque was initially and graciously given to the city of New Bedford was between 20 and 25% French and Canadian descent. There has been and still is a strong and vibrant French-Canadian presence in New Bedford today. I thank Mayor Mitchell and his staff, Councilor Henry Bousquet, Joe Lopes, and all those who enthusiastically organized and participated in this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Berthew. I'd like to introduce Ray Patnod from the Association of Canadian Americans, who is partly the reason why we have celebrations like this, because he's such a supporter of French Canadian heritage here in the city. Together we'll all be celebrating the Feast of Saint Jean Baptiste on Sunday, both at the Franco-American Veterans Square on Nauset Street and Mount Pleasant Street in the near north end of New Bedford. And there'll also be a dinner at the Century House that afternoon by the same club with Josie Vachon, who's a French folk singer, who will be there for the entertainment that afternoon. So Ray Patnod, if you could come up for a minute.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Council President Lopes, Mr. Berthew, Asano. The history of this celebration goes back to France. Between 400 and 500 BC, King Clovis was converted to the Catholic religion and began the celebration, changing an old pagan celebration of bonfires to the celebration of the birth of Saint Jean the Baptist. When the French emigrated to New France, which you people know as Quebec now, they came with the traditions and culture they brought with them from France. The Saint Jean the Baptist Mass was celebrated as early as 1615 in the province of Quebec, before the lower states were even inhabited by Europeans. In the city of New Bedford, we had a state representative by the name of Roger Goyette, who submitted a bill that would create a celebration for Saint Jean the Baptist. Because in Quebec it's a national holiday, government offices are closed, and it's a big celebration. And there were many people from Quebec that had settled in New Bedford. So when he submitted the bill, it went through the legislature, and Governor Dukakis declared that the fourth Sunday in June will be declared Saint Jean Baptiste Day in Massachusetts. Connecticut recently enacted similar legislation, and their celebration will be on the 24th, the same day of each year. The Pope Pius X declared that St. Jean the Baptist would be the patron saints for French Canadians. So many of the leaders of your local French organizations are present here, and they will be participating at numerous events that will be occurring this weekend. There's a Mass at Holy Name Sacred Heart of Jesus Church with the ACA, the organization that I belong to, will be having, followed by a ceremony at the Veterans Square at 10:30. And we're fortunate to have the Regiment Bourbonnais, which is a reenactment unit of Rochambeau's army. Many people don't realize, but France was the United States' very first ally. And when Rochambeau landed with his troops in Newport, there were more troops than there were citizens of Newport. And he marched with George Washington down south to defeat the British. So we probably wouldn't have won the Revolutionary War without our first ally. There was a tie that the Portuguese community might be interested in that Rochambeau's wife was Portuguese. She was the daughter of a Portuguese fruit merchant, and her name was Teves, T-E-V-E-S. So I'm sure you may have had the opportunity to sample some of the fine Portuguese cuisine that we sample here in New Bedford. We're following the event at the square with a banquet at noon. We were fortunate to get José Vachon, who is a member of the ACA, the organization I belong to, and many of you that watch local cable access may remember her as the host of the Bonjour program, which was aired from Canada all the way down to Louisiana. She's returning from South America. She's on tour in South America and will be returning this weekend to appear in New Bedford. She's probably the best known French-Canadian singer and songwriter in the New England area. So I hope many of you can take advantage and come to some of these events to sample some of the culture. It's been said that the United States has been a melting pot, and oftentimes being a melting pot meant that you lost your culture to the dominant English culture. I like to think of a city like this as a beautiful salad with many different pieces and cultures that we can all appreciate. So I hope you all get a chance to participate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patnod. And we have with us today also Al Sauniers, who is a French history scholar as well.
Thanks, Henry. Thank you. Like many people here, French was my mother tongue, and I had to learn English to go to primary school. But what I did afterwards was I decided to trade on that, and I've managed to get people to pay to send me for 16 years to French-speaking countries, either as a university professor or as a government advisor. And it gives me a totally different perspective on looking at things. Since coming back, Henry mentioned I've been doing some history work, and one of the things that I've been trying to do is to reclaim some of the history of the French in New Bedford that we don't know about. Ray Patnod mentioned Rochambeau's troops. One of the soldiers stayed behind and married a woman, and his son came to New Bedford, where he shipped out a number of times on whaling ships, and then founded a cooper shop where he made barrels. His sons also shipped out on whaling ships, and then they fought in the Civil War. So we have a family that's fairly well known. In the South End there's a street named after them, Jouvette Street, but it's not known that they have a French background. And I've been doing so much work on whaling that about a year and a half ago the National Park asked me to talk about it there. And then last fall the Whaling Museum asked me to be as part of the Whaling History Symposium. So there are people out there that believe that the French came here, French Canadians came here, and did more than textiles and more than fishing. There's an interesting character I came across. His name was Arthur Côte-Noire. And Côte-Noire's father came here from Canada. Cotenois' father worked in the mills. His sisters worked in the mills, but he went whaling. And he went whaling and became a storyteller afterwards. And it was so important that his obituary after he died made the front page of the New York Times. A whaling captain, a French-Canadian whaling captain out of New Bedford. Ray did mention that there are several things going on this weekend. I'm secretary of the Richelieu Club, and as part of the League of Franco-Americans, we're celebrating the 96th event, talking about the Feast of St. John the Baptist, and at a flag raising, which will be at the Franco-American Square at 9:30. It'll be followed by a Mass at St. Joseph, St. Teresa's. And at our banquet at the Wamsutta Club, we're going to be honoring some noted members of the French-Canadian community here in New Bedford and awarding scholarships. So that does also provide an alternative activity. I think I'll stop at that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Sonia. We appreciate the history lesson. And that's pretty much everything, right? So, on behalf of the City of New Bedford, I hope everybody goes out and you want to say
Council Carney.
Oh yes, of course. I'd like to thank everybody who came out today, specifically Council President Joseph Lopes, Council at Large Naomi Carney, and our City Assessor Peter Berthium, as well as all those in attendance today. I appreciate the help from the Mayor's office to get this little event together, and Christina Arsenal, thank you very much for your help today. And everybody go out today and enjoy this this celebration and enjoy the weekend's activities. And I'd like to thank our friends at Cable Access for bringing this into the homes. Thank you.
A child's drawing, an American flag, combat boots, flowers. Thousands of mementos like these are left at the Vietnam Memorial Wall every year. Silent messages that say, you are not forgotten. A quarterback, a class clown, a natural leader, someone's son, someone's father, someone's best friend. For those who died in the Vietnam War, the greatest tribute is to see them not just as names on the wall, but as the people they were. The Education Center at the wall will put faces to the names. It will preserve photos, letters, and mementos of veterans, so their stories and sacrifice will never be forgotten. Call or click now. Help us build it.
We're the stronger than we look type. The braver than you think type. The type that's sure the time will come when we put type 1 behind us. We're the progress is inevitable type. The rise to every challenge type. The type that knows bit by bit the future is certain to get better. We're the plan for a cure type. The improved life along the way type. The type that will stop at nothing. Absolutely nothing. Until type 1 becomes type none.